Title: Harvest of Shadows. The Thanksgiving table was laden with the warmth of family and the scent of roasted turkey, but the chill in my spine persisted. It was supposed to be a joyous occasion, a time of gratitude and togetherness, but the air in the room carried an undertone of something sinister. As I carved into the golden brown turkey, my eyes met those of my family members, each seemingly oblivious to the unease gnawing at my insides. We gathered around the dining table, a haven of laughter and festive decorations, but my senses were heightened, attuned to a presence that eluded the rest. I decided to excuse myself and took refuge in the familiarity of the kitchen. The ticking clock on the wall seemed to synchronize with the accelerated beats of my heart. I tried to shake off the feeling, attributing it to holiday stress or an overactive imagination, but the shadows that danced on the walls told a different tale. In the midst of pouring myself a glass of water, I caught a glimpse of a figure in the periphery of my vision. A silhouette, faint and distorted, stood at the edge of the kitchen. My breath caught in my throat, and I turned, expecting to find a family member playing a prank. To my dismay, there was no one there. The unease swelled within me, and a shiver traced the length of my spine. I dismissed it as a trick of the light, a figment of my imagination, but as I returned to the dining room, a cold draft whispered through the room, extinguishing the candles in its wake. The family chatter hushed as the lights flickered. I feigned a smile, trying to shake off the growing sense of dread. My family exchanged nervous glances, but the festive spirit prevailed and the feast continued. As the night deepened, the atmosphere thickened with an otherworldly tension. I excused myself from the table once more, the need to investigate the inexplicable becoming insurmountable. I tiptoed through the darkened halls, guided only by the pale moonlight streaming through the windows. The house seemed to groan, its time-worn walls bearing witness to secrets untold. I reached the study, its door slightly ajar. The room exuded an eerie glow from the fireplace, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with a life of their own. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob. The air in the room was heavy with the scent of old books and something else, something unidentifiable yet unmistakably malevolent. As the door creaked open, my eyes fell upon an ancient tome lying open on the desk. The pages were filled with arcane symbols and sketches of grotesque figures. A cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing the fire, plunging the space into darkness. In the dim glow of my phone's flashlight, I deciphered a passage that sent shivers down my spine. It spoke of a curse, a malevolent force awakened during times of celebration, feeding on the essence of those who reveled in the festivities. The words seemed to writhe on the page, as if eager to escape their ancient confines. A sudden noise behind me made me turn. The shadows coalesced into a shape, a silhouette darker than the abyss. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding as the figure emerged from the darkness. "Who dares disturb the harvest?" a spectral voice whispered, resonating within the confines of my mind. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my lips. The entity, a grotesque specter draped in tattered robes, extended its bony hand toward me. I felt an icy grip on my soul, an invisible force pulling at the very essence of my being. As the room spun in a maddening whirl, I found myself transported to a realm between worlds. The air crackled with malevolence as the entity revealed the nature of its existence. It was a harbinger of ancient rituals, a collector of souls bound to the cycle of celebrations. The entity recounted the tales of Thanksgivings past, each feast marking the culmination of its insatiable hunger. It reveled in the essence of joy, devouring the life force of those who partook in the festivities. With each passing generation, the curse grew stronger and the harvest more bountiful. I pleaded for release, my voice echoing through the spectral void. The entity chuckled, a sound that echoed like distant thunder. It explained that once the harvest had begun, there was no turning back. The only way to break the curse was to sacrifice the very essence of the celebratory spirit. With a wave of its skeletal hand, the scene shifted. I found myself back in the dining room, the Thanksgiving feast continuing as if untouched by the supernatural. But the faces of my family were gone, their eyes hollow and devoid of joy. The entity whispered, urging me to make a choice. To save my family, I had to sacrifice the very essence of Thanksgiving, extinguishing the joy and mirth that fueled the malevolent force. A paralyzing dilemma gripped my soul. I couldn't bear the thought of robbing my family of the warmth and love that defined the holiday. But the alternative was to let them become unwitting sacrifices to an ancient curse. As I stood frozen in indecision, the entity's laughter resonated, mocking my futile struggle. The room warped and twisted, the shadows closing in as the spectral hand reached for my soul. With a heavy heart, I made the sacrifice. I uttered words of sorrow, renouncing the celebration and extinguishing the festive spirit that clung to the air. The entity recoiled, its form dissipating like smoke in the wind. The room returned to normal, the warmth and joy of Thanksgiving restored. My family continued their feast, oblivious to the supernatural ordeal that had unfolded. The entity, weakened by the sacrifice, retreated into the shadows, its insatiable hunger momentarily sated. I rejoined the table, the weight of my choice etched into my soul. The Thanksgiving feast continued, but the air hung heavy with the knowledge of the malevolent force that lurked in the shadows. As I raised a glass to toast, I couldn't shake the feeling that the harvest of shadows would return, its curse lying dormant until the next celebration beckoned. The Thanksgiving table, once a symbol of warmth and family, now bore the scars of a hidden darkness, a darkness that would forever linger in the corners of my memory, a reminder of the price paid to protect those I loved from the harvest of shadows. Title: Crimson Harvest. The crisp autumn air clung to the suburban neighborhood as families gathered in anticipation of Thanksgiving. The scent of roasted turkey and pumpkin pie wafted through the streets, a comforting prelude to the impending feast. Little did they know that, amidst the facade of camaraderie, a malevolent presence lurked. I, Detective James Harper, had just moved into the quiet neighborhood, seeking solace after a string of grueling cases. The crimson leaves crunched beneath my boots as I strolled past the picturesque houses adorned with festive decorations. It all seemed idyllic, but my seasoned instincts detected an underlying tension, a subtle disquiet that eluded the average passerby. As I settled into my new home, a sense of dread settled over me, intensifying with each passing day. The quaint neighborhood harbored a secret and unsolved mystery that had eluded the authorities for years. A serial killer known only as the Harvest Reaper resurfaced with a morbid pattern coinciding with the Thanksgiving season. The locals remained blissfully ignorant, engrossed in preparations for the upcoming holiday. Their doors were adorned with wreaths, and laughter echoed through the streets as families shared in the joy of the season. Yet, beneath the veneer of normalcy, a sinister game of cat and mouse unfolded. The first ominous clue appeared on my doorstep, a small, blood-stained feather. The Harvest Reaper's signature. Memories of past crime scenes flooded my mind, each one marked by this macabre calling card. The killer reveled in the chaos, leaving the authorities and the community paralyzed with fear. I delved into the case files, tracing the Reaper's gruesome trail through the years. The victims, seemingly random, shared one common thread: they were taken during the season of gratitude. The killer's message was clear: a harvest of souls orchestrated with meticulous precision. As Thanksgiving approached, my sleep became restless, haunted by visions of the Harvest Reaper. I became consumed by the need to unravel the cryptic pattern and put an end to the terror that loomed over the neighborhood. The once festive atmosphere transformed into a breeding ground for paranoia. The night before Thanksgiving, a chilling discovery awaited me. In my backyard, a makeshift altar had materialized, adorned with the feathers of the Reaper's victims. The air turned thick with malevolence as I realized that the killer had marked me as a participant in their twisted game. Determined to break the cycle, I enlisted the help of the local authorities. Together, we combed the neighborhood, searching for any sign of the elusive harvest reaper. The festive decorations mocked us as we uncovered the horrifying truth: the killer had infiltrated the Thanksgiving preparations, blending seamlessly with the community. As the investigation intensified, so did the harvest reaper's audacity. A sinister message arrived, etched on my front door with blood-red letters: "The harvest begins anew." Panic gripped the neighborhood, the once celebratory spirit replaced by a collective sense of dread. On Thanksgiving Day, the tension reached its zenith. The streets were eerily silent as families locked their doors, afraid to partake in the customary festivities. I patrolled the neighborhood, my senses heightened, knowing that the reaper lurked in the shadows, watching, waiting. As night descended, a figure emerged from the darkness, a silhouette draped in a cloak of feathers. The harvest reaper had revealed themselves, the embodiment of malevolence standing before me. In the moonlit glow, their face remained obscured, a ghastly mask of death. A deadly game of cat and mouse unfolded as I pursued the reaper through the desolate streets. The echoes of our footsteps were drowned out by the oppressive silence, broken only by the reaper's haunting laughter. The neighborhood had become a nightmarish labyrinth, a stage for the final act of this gruesome performance. With each step, the reaper eluded capture, leaving behind a trail of blood and feathers. As the tension peaked, the killer turned to face me, their eyes gleaming with madness. The revelation struck me like a thunderbolt. It was someone from within the community, a neighbor hiding in plain sight. The standoff reached its climax as the reaper lunged, their weapon glinting in the moonlight. In a desperate struggle, I managed to disarm them, revealing the face behind the mask, a neighbor I had greeted with a smile, unaware of the darkness that dwelled within. As the authorities descended upon the scene, the neighborhood began to stir from its collective nightmare. The harvest reaper's reign of terror had come to an end, but the scars it left behind lingered. The once celebratory Thanksgiving had been tainted by the crimson harvest, a reminder that evil could thrive in the most unsuspecting places. As I stood amidst the chaos, I couldn't shake the chilling realization that beneath the veneer of normalcy, darkness could fester, waiting to emerge and cast its shadow over the most cherished of traditions. Title: Spectral Harvest. Thanksgiving night settled over the centuries-old farmhouse, casting long shadows on the worn floorboards. The aroma of a traditional feast permeated the air, but the warmth of the hearth did little to dispel the chill that clung to the ancient walls. As the family gathered around the table, little did they know that the past would join them for a spectral Thanksgiving. My name is Emily, and I inherited the farmhouse from my grandparents. Eager to celebrate Thanksgiving in the home that held generations of memories, I invited my extended family to join me for a festive evening. The old farmhouse, nestled on the outskirts of a quiet town, exuded a timeless charm that belied its haunted history. As the family exchanged laughter and stories, a faint whisper echoed through the rooms. I dismissed it as the creaking of old timbers, but a sense of foreboding lingered. The ancestral portraits lining the walls seemed to watch with spectral eyes, witnessing a reunion that bridged the gap between the living and the dead. As the night wore on, the whispers grew more audible, transforming into ethereal melodies that danced through the air. A cold breeze swept through the dining room, extinguishing the candles and leaving the family in momentary darkness. When the flickering flames returned, so did the apparitions. A ghostly figure, dressed in the attire of a bygone era, manifested at the head of the table. The family fell silent as the specter extended a translucent hand, gesturing for them to partake in the feast. Fear and fascination intertwined as the ghostly apparitions of long-lost relatives materialized beside their living counterparts. The room became a tableau of the past and present coexisting, a spectral grandmother carving an ethereal turkey, a ghostly child playing with unseen toys. The living and the dead shared a Thanksgiving meal, separated by the veil of existence but united by the bonds of family. My family, initially paralyzed with fear, soon embraced the surreal experience. Conversations transcended time, with the living learning from the wisdom of their spectral ancestors. Laughter and tears intermingled, blurring the lines between the corporeal and the ethereal. As the night progressed, the ghostly interactions intensified. An old piano in the corner played haunting melodies on its own, guided by unseen hands. Shadows of ghostly dancers twirled in the moonlit corners of the farmhouse, echoing the joyous celebrations of Thanksgivings long past. In the midst of the spectral communion, the air became charged with emotion. The ghosts conveyed messages of love, regret, and unfinished business. Tears were shed and forgiveness exchanged between the living and the dead. It was a Thanksgiving unlike any other, a reunion that transcended the boundaries of life and death. As the clock struck midnight, the ghostly figures began to fade, their ethereal forms dissipating like morning mist. The room, once filled with the echoes of spectral laughter, returned to a quiet stillness. The family, left in awe and disbelief, exchanged glances that spoke of an otherworldly experience that defied explanation. The farmhouse, now silent, bore witness to a Thanksgiving that bridged generations. The living, humbled by the ghostly interactions, felt a renewed connection to their ancestral roots. As my family departed, the old farmhouse seemed to exhale a sigh of contentment, its walls echoing with the remnants of a Thanksgiving celebration that transcended the boundaries of time and mortality. And so, the farmhouse stood as a testament to the enduring power of family, where the living and the dead could come together for a spectral harvest, a Thanksgiving that would be etched into the tapestry of the past, present, and the haunted echoes of an old farmhouse that held the memories of generations gone by. Hey, horror enthusiasts! If you've been enjoying the bone-chilling tales and heart-pounding stories we've been sharing, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button below. Join our community of thrill seekers who can't get enough of the dark and mysterious. By subscribing, you're ensuring that you never miss out on the next spine-tingling tale. Trust me, you won't want to be in the dark when the next horror story drops. Hit subscribe and let the nightmares begin.